What you're about to see is one of the most disturbing trends ever to go viral on social media, and almost nobody's talking about it. Right now, there are thousands of creators online who are using AI filters to fake having Down syndrome, dressing provocatively, and then using these altered faces to lure people into buying their explicit content. All for money, all for clicks. Let that sink in. Real people with Down syndrome who already face enough discrimination and misunderstanding are now being used as costumes by influencers chasing clout. They're exploiting one of the most vulnerable groups in our society for profit, making a mockery out of a real genetic condition just to sell subscriptions and drive traffic to their adult pages. And what's even more shocking, platforms like TikTok and Instagram are letting it happen.
But first, before we get into this very serious topic, I want to just quickly say a massive thank you to everybody, as we've recently hit 500,000 subscribers on this channel, which is mind-blowing. And I generally mean it when I say thank you to every single one of you. I couldn't have done it without you guys, obviously, unless I made 500,000 accounts, which would have just taken far too long. So again, thank you guys, really do appreciate it. If you could leave a comment down below as well, saying 500k, I'll make sure to reply to every single one of you.
The accounts aren't getting banned. If anything, the trend is growing, spreading like wildfire, pushed by the same algorithms that claim to care about community guidelines and safety.
People are using AI to take Instagram models and put the faces of people with Down syndrome over top of their faces so they can make money off the style accounts that they set up.
This isn't just unethical, it's beyond disgusting. It's a whole new level of deception, and it raises some uncomfortable questions about how far people will go for money and attention in the age of AI. You might scroll past this video thinking the woman on screen has Down syndrome, but she doesn't. What you're actually looking at is an AI-generated filter. We've already seen many social media influencers fake different things online, like gender identities, dramatic life stories, and terminal illnesses to boost their views and gain sympathy.
Apparently there's a Down syndrome filter, and there are girls out there that are putting a filter on their face that makes it look like they have Down syndrome. The girl below. They all have super hot bodies and they're dancing around and they're twerking with a filter on their face.
But now there's a new and disturbing trend taking over TikTok and Instagram, where creators, mostly women, are using filters that mimic the facial features of people with Down syndrome, while dressing provocatively and using suggestive captions to drive traffic to their OF pages. There are now thousands of these types of accounts floating around, doing the same thing, leveraging AI and shock value to lure people into subscribing to adult content. This weird little niche used to sit quietly in a small pocket of the internet, but it's grown quickly, and more Instagram models and TikTokers are jumping on it. But how did we get here? And when did digital clout become so addictive that these women started pretending to have a genetic condition? Well, those are the questions we're going to break down in today's video. We all know it. Technology's moving at a speed that's absolutely mind-blowing. AI isn't only evolving, but it's basically sprinting at this point, which has people getting caught up in wild discussions about where this is heading. To show how fast it's growing, in 2024 alone, the global AI industry hit over $184 billion. That's nearly 50 billion more than it made the year before. And if projections are right, it's not slowing down anytime soon, because by 2030, it could pass 826 billion. That kind of leap is massive, so things are getting pretty intense. What used to sound like a distant future, it's here now, and it's already starting to freak people out. And with the explosion of AI tools and filters, we also got a new term for it, deepfake. The word first appeared around 2017 on Reddit when someone with that username posted AI-generated clips of celebrities with their faces swapped into explicit material. At first, deepfakes were mostly used in political scandals and public figure hoaxes, but now everybody has them in their feed. It's in entertainment, such as movie trailers, memes, fake news, and even dating profiles. And it's getting harder nowadays to tell what's been edited and what's real. What's even more despicable about this craze is how people are manipulating these tools to make money.
One of the first deepfake videos that really gained national prominence was a video purportedly of Barack Obama.
How about this? Simply, President Trump is a total and complete dip.
But it was made by the comedian Jordan Peele, showing people just how good a deepfake video of a public figure can look.
Deepfakes are no longer part of some experimental tech demo because they are now being used for profit, especially on social platforms. And it's common not just in viral clips, but also on subscription services that focus on 18+ content, including platforms like OF. Now, if you're not familiar, OF wasn't originally created for sensual media. It was launched in 2016 by Tim Stokely as a way for well-known personalities to earn directly from their fans. Musicians, fitness coaches, chefs, and anyone with a following could monetize their work. But over time, it became one of the few platforms recognized for giving creators full control over what they share and how they earn. That's where the transition happened. And now, when people hear the word OF, it's often linked to explicit content, even though that wasn't how it all began. Maria Dopari. Although it is still a mystery who's managing all these Instagram and TikTok accounts popping up lately, what people are starting to notice is that a lot of these profiles are uploading the same recycled videos of half-dressed women, but are using different names. One of the most popular faces in this trend is an Instagram user who goes by the name Maria Dopari. Now obviously that's not her real name. Her original pages were apparently banned from several platforms, but there are still a few of her videos being passed around. And strangely enough, the only active link on her link tree was her PayPal. So Maria had two accounts. The main one racked up over 148,000 followers, while the other variant, just a different handle, had around 39,000.
This is just a girl with a deepfake AI image, and I feel like this highlights a bigger part of what AI is going to turn into, and that this is scary. Like, this is actually scary that AI is able to do this and to deceive literally hundreds of thousands of people into thinking that it's a completely different person, but it's the exact same person running the same account.
Clearly, whoever's running these pages knows how to build a following fast, using thirst trap videos to reel people in. But this isn't an isolated case, because like many others riding this wave, it's part of a larger strategy. You'll find tons of similar setups scattered across TikTok, Instagram, X, and even Snapchat. Sometimes it's the same of page pushed through 10 different TikTok pages featuring 10 different girls. So this whole thing feels more like something being coordinated by agencies. They're the ones pulling the strings. I know this might come as a surprise for some of you guys, but this is how things often go down on OF. The money is not only from subscriptions, but most of it rolls in through private messages, where people pay for custom content. In fact, many top-performing creators don't always handle their own chats. Instead, some of them are signed under these agencies, meaning there's a team doing all the work. It works like this. One person, usually the model whose photos or videos are being used, owns the account, but it's actually someone else who takes over the interaction part. They bring in several people, known as chatters, who pretend to be the star and message fans directly. These chatters talk to paying fans as if they're the woman in the profile, flirting, sending preloaded pictures, and offering extras for sale. And they earn anywhere from $3 to $6 per hour. So is it a scam? technically yes, because followers think they're getting attention from the person they see on screen, but since there's no easy way to prove who's behind the interaction, it flies under the radar because the system's built to keep things blurry on purpose. And look, I'm saying this with all due respect.
This is very much proof that people are seeing this, thinking it's real, and buying the OnlyFans. Now, I'm not sure if this is just a filter or the videos are completely AI generated, but regardless, it is a fake thing. It's someone faking a disability for OnlyFans use, and some people sadly are falling for it.
But if you're someone who pays for this type of videos and ends up getting obsessed with a kink like this, that's honestly on you. It's incredibly dehumanizing to have a fetish for someone just because they appear to have Down syndrome. That said, not everyone involved in this trend is completely hiding behind fake profiles. Some models have been in the adult space for years and are upfront about what they do. Take the one who goes by Sasha Mayek-Soxo. Unlike others who try to separate their identities, she didn't even put much effort into pretending. She used this AI-generated Down syndrome profile to promote her main Instagram, which was linked in the bio of the account she made to cater to this niche. While it's hard to say exactly which app or platform is being used to create these altered faces, even before this, TikTok already had several filters that triggered a lot of opinions. One of the most talked about was the chubby filter, which made users appear as if they had gained weight, but it was recently taken down after loads of negative reactions. But what we're seeing now is far more alarming because it involves inappropriate themes.
Many users genuinely believe these are real, commenting as if they're talking to a real person. Meanwhile, Instagram allows them to operate freely, profiting off this AI exploitation with very little transparency. Unlike platforms like that explicitly ban AI content unless it's clearly stated.
And as with so much of the internet, there's line unless they're being artificially reproduced. One way you can figure out if someone's using a filter is by watching how it holds up when they move their head. Like if they try to show a different angle, the filter might not be able to keep up with the new positions. It might glitch, shift around, or just not match the face anymore, like what you're about to see in this next video.
Exhibit A, this video here. She pulls a welding mask over her head and you can clearly see her teeth completely changed. Quite obviously, the filter has lost the face through the mask being pulled down and her actual teeth come through.
It tricks you for a bit, but if you spotted the slip up near the end, you can tell it's not actually their real face. Now, speaking of sketchy ways people try to get more clicks on their pages, let's talk about age baiting. You've probably heard the saying, some older guys go for the young ones, right? Well, that mindset is what some models or their teams are banking on.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Look at me. I'm Caucasian. Did I say Vato or did I say Vito? Apparently they think I'm white when I was a teenager. Look at me. That is...
Isn't it the same fool?
Honestly, when I was a teenager, I was a little burnt. I was dark because I was like in swimming and stuff. Hi, my name's Alan.
From the word itself, it's when someone intentionally lowers their age to appeal to a certain crowd. Like, someone might be 25, but they'll try to make themselves look and act like they're barely 18 or 21. They're doing it because they know there's a creepy audience that prefers that barely legal look. A perfect case of this is the Maria Dopari situation, which I mentioned earlier. Her original Instagram got removed, but she's popped up again under a new persona, Theral Mariavez. Not only that, but she's also running 2 separate IG pages under that name, and both of them list different ages. One says she's 23, the other says 21. And the thing is, both profiles link back to the same fan site. So this is just another method to attract viewers who fantasize about girls who look way younger. Man, this is sickening.
Today we're going to be looking at these accounts that are selling girls' bodies under the idea that they have a disability. But the shock twist here is they don't have a disability, and they're pretending that they do by using either a filter or AI to generate the look of someone with a disability.
Even though official creator sites like OF have strict age conditions in place, at least on paper, the moment these people step outside to publicize their profiles elsewhere, like on alt accounts or backup pages, they can easily change their details, upload misleading hints, For models especially, the platform asks for a government-issued ID and a verification selfie to prove you are who you say you are and that you're lawfully allowed to post mature content. So minors shouldn't be anywhere near the platform. But with little oversight on external networks, this opens the door to these kinds of activities, playing the sympathy card. Now moving on to something else. Some models are also pandering for pity likes and pushing for representation, showing that people born with this condition can live normal lives too. You'll see captions in these videos like, "A girl with Down syndrome can also go clubbing," or POV. You've joked about Down syndrome girls your whole life, along with others that are even more lewd. And sure, that looks like empowerment, but what's happening beneath the surface is that this is being used to draw more views. These people know how to apply emotional triggers to get more eyes on their profiles. It's a form of baiting. Instead of using shock in the usual way, they're weaponizing sympathy. Stop scrolling, not because they want to support the cause, but because they're surprised and curious about what they're seeing. It's engineered to go viral, not to educate or uplift. And it gets worse because these pages knowingly employ derogatory and offensive language in their descriptions, targeting sensitive conditions in a discriminatory manner that amplifies stereotypes. Which now brings us to the serious part of this video. The reality of how this trend impacts the everyday lives of people who actually have Down syndrome. A programs associate from the National Down Syndrome Society spoke out, explaining that this online portrayal puts them in a vulnerable and risky position. She pointed out how these posts reduce people with trisomy 21 into mere objects, fueling fantasies for strangers on the internet.
I'm speechless right now. People that are using the Down syndrome king filter, or even whoever's made this filter, I just think about families that have children or parents with disabilities, and it's just so immoral and despicable to be even doing something like this, or even using it as a filter like it's some sort of trend.
Honestly guys, it's heartbreaking because nobody with this condition deserves to be treated that way. They are often some of the kindest, most loving, and sweetest individuals you'll ever meet. They're genuine human beings with feelings and stories that go way beyond their diagnosis. But unfortunately, what we see online is a different picture, where thousands of creators with little to no respect exploit this disability. But why would anyone go as far as faking a disability like Down syndrome when they could just build their page the usual way, like most models on the platform? OnlyFans income stream. Well, here's the uncomfortable truth that rarely gets talked about. The market in this industry is insanely competitive. Even though we always hear stories about top creators earning thousands or even millions, that's not how it works for most. Some even compare the platform to a pyramid scheme, because the more exposure and interaction a page gets, the more it helps boost those who are already sitting at the top with large followings and the best visibility. They're the ones who benefit the most, while smaller accounts stay stuck at the bottom. In fact, the average model earns around $150 to $180 a month, and about 80% of them don't even make it past $100. Because of that, many in the space begin doing things that are extreme and unusual, trying to set themselves apart. And over the past few years, we've seen a drastic shift in this kind of content that targets very specific fetishes, and the AI Down syndrome trend has now been added to that list. When you strip away the shock value, what's left is a business model that treats Down syndrome like a costume, and the fallout is anything but virtual. CBS News tracked more than 30 AI-generated accounts that impersonate people with Down syndrome, some funneling fans to subscription pages that promise exclusive content for a fee. Disability advocates say these fakes eclipse real creators who spend years building genuine communities, only to have their stories hijacked for clicks. The National Down Syndrome Society's Candy Pickard calls it ableism wrapped in a filter, warning that turning a genetic condition into fetish content invites harassment and even offline exploitation. It's not just a handful of shady profiles either. Pedestrian.tv found the hashtag associated with the AI filter topping 6 million views in a single week, propelled by TikTok's recommendation engine that rewards anything shocking enough to stop a thumb scroll. Those videos often pair flirty captions like, "Would you date a DS girl?" The more outrageous the post, the more the algorithm amplifies it, pushing authentic disability advocates further to the margins while normalizing harmful stereotypes. TikTok's own rulebook should make this an open and shut case. The platform bans synthetic media that depicts private figures without consent immediate. Advocates report an uptick in mocking duets, tasteless reaction videos, and DMs asking if they charge the same for adult content, all sparked by the viral filter. Experts warn that the blurring of real and AI-altered faces erodes public understanding of the condition, feeding the old trope that individuals with Down syndrome are perpetual children, then utilizing that image for profit. So what should change? First, TikTok needs a zero-tolerance flag for any undisclosed filter that mimics medical traits, similar to its ban on extremist content. Second, repeat offenders shouldn't just lose a video. They should lose monetization and search visibility across all linked accounts. And finally, the platform could elevate certified disability-led creators in search results, turning the algorithm into a shield instead of a spotlight for abuse. But until those steps are taken, every glitchy AI smile that slides across someone else's videos isn't just cringeworthy content. It's a reminder that the internet still decides whose humanity is worth protecting.
And while that is certainly disgusting, let's just take a moment and look back on why perhaps these types of trends are now happening. I made a video on one of the first people to ever fake disorders on TikTok, where I recently made a video on how they got away with this for years, scamming people until her family eventually called her out for it. Click here if you want to see that, or link in the description.